Hi, I'm Melissa.
And I'm Jesse.
Welcome to the Reimagine Success Podcast. We're a husband and wife team who want to make a difference and change the way we all view success.
We've had the privilege of interviewing so many amazing, talented, and successful guests. Each one of them experienced success in their own way.
We want to change how society views success by inspiring you to live your best life and celebrate your successes no matter what that looks like, big and small.
Success looks so different for everyone, and we want you to reimagine your success. Welcome to Season 2 of
Reimagine Success. Welcome to Season 2 of Reimagine Success.
So this is our second episode, and we've just kicked off Season 2, and I can't be more excited. It's just been a crazy ride so far, and Season 2 is gearing up to be unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I cannot believe it has been 6 months of Reimagine Success. We are in 20 countries worldwide now, and we are in the top podcast in Canada for self-improvement.
Yeah, so things have been going crazy with us. It's really coming together. And we can't be more excited about everything that's happening in our lives at the moment. And we've got a guest on today that is also just things are going crazy for him.
Just
and
bananas.
One of those people that's a hardworking dude and just killing it left and right. So I'll go and introduce him so we can get started because I feel like this interview is going to be really great. Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing a good friend of mine, Bill Mitchell. He's a fashion designer and owner of an internationally selling custom jean brand called Billiam Jeans. From 2009 till present day, what was once a hobby tailoring clothes snowballed into a multi-million-dollar business making one-to-one jeans for anyone and everyone. The flagship store based in Greenville, South Carolina is a mix of retail and manufacturing facility where patrons can be measured and watch their jeans come to life in front of them. So from Billiam Jeans, welcome Bill Mitchell to the podcast.
I'm glad to have you.
Everyone. Yeah, glad to be here.
It's so good to see you, man. It's been too long since we've got to speak and hang out. So it's great that we get this chance to catch up and see what's going on with the business and what's going on in your life. And
can't wait to dive in.
Yeah. So why don't you go and start just by telling people your story, how you got started, you know, what all that happened to get you into the jeans industry
and the love of fashion.
Yeah, totally. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. This will be a great talk. I'm honored to be on the #1 podcast, self-improvement in Canada.
Nice.
I've got a bunch of friends in Toronto, and so hopefully they hear this. But yeah, so I started tailoring clothes for myself in 2009. I was working at a call center at the time, bored out of my mind. And I figured that if I at least looked better while I was on the phones, maybe I would enjoy my life a little bit more.
Feel better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so
dress for success.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And so I was tailoring clothes. I went back to college that next year with my sewing machine and ended up becoming the person to tailor everyone's clothes. And after doing that for a long time, I was like, well, I wonder if I could make money at this. And, you know, maybe I should just make something from scratch rather than tailor people's clothes. So I went to like AC Moore or Joanne Fabrics and sorry, my air compressor just kicked on. And
that was not my stomach, guys.
Yeah. And then I bought a pattern and some denim. I made a pair of jeans, and then the rest was history. Everybody just started asking me to make them jeans. So then I needed to find out how to source fabric and pattern make and, you know, and buy different machines. So it was kind of like a hobby. When I was around a lot of people that just it started more of like a viral thing. And then I had to learn how to actually build the business of it. So yeah, that's the gist of the beginning times.
Yeah. And you've always been pretty fashion forward. I remember back in the day. So Bill and I go back a long, long time. We were actually in a band together back around that same time, 2008, 2009. And I like to claim that I started your love for jeans by giving you an old pair of Zara jeans that I'd shot with a shotgun.
You did.
And we had joked about making a line of jeans that we just shot up with different types of guns back in the day. And then you ended up making jeans. So it's all because of me.
It really is. And I'm glad you had me on, because I wanted to clear the air and say that is true.
Yes. So world, you hear it now. Jesse Biondi is the inspiration behind Billiam Jeans, period. Hands down.
That's it. End of the podcast.
Yes.
It's over.
Great interview. Thanks for coming.
No, but that's so inspiring. Now, have you ever worked with a sewing machine before you started in 2009, making jeans and things that you started?
Well, I think that's a good way to answer both those questions. So in 7th grade, I took home ec, and you learned how to cook. I mean, basically all the domestic skills.
Learn to sew a button.
Yeah. And so I made a little bag. And I just remember it was the first time that wasn't Legos or a puzzle, where I was putting something together, and I had created my own thing, my own physical product. And so it was one of those moments too, where, I mean, this would have been in the 90s, probably I don't know how old I would have been. Sorry, my thing's going off. And guys didn't sew back then. Oh my God. Sorry, guys. Guys didn't sew back in the day. Yeah. And so it was one of those things that I kind of put down, because culturally it wasn't really acceptable as a young man to be sewing. And so it was kind of the same thing at every other point in my life. I started to realize that maybe I like to do things that push the button, that made people ask certain questions. And so when it came to gathering my own personal style, being a musician or wearing women's jeans when you couldn't find skinny jeans as a guy, there was this rebellious thing in me that started to form back then. And I found that clothing is one of the most, I mean, it's the biggest first impression you make. And so I wanted to always kind of be memorable and, in a lot of ways rebellious. So when I was able to actually make clothes, I was able to take it to a length that maybe other people couldn't. So a blend of both of those, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's the vision. And then also you had to learn the skills to, I can probably sew a button, but that's probably about the most that I can do with a sewing machine.
Yeah. I've never used a sewing machine myself either, but
I'll teach you guys.
I'm good at sewing things back together by hand, though that's far more annoying.
It's true. I hate doing that.
Right. Well, and now, so I want to go back for a second when you mentioned home ec. And in school, I think it's still like this now. In school, home ec is for girls and wood shop is for boys. And, it's just so that's the standard, and it shouldn't be, because we all need to know a little bit about everything. Right. And we never know when that skill will be useful in our life. And so going back to that, I am really proud of you for breaking out of the mold, and actually embracing home ec and saying, no, this is what I'm doing. I'm creating a bag, and I did this myself, and I'm a boy. So if I would have went to shop class, which was really frowned upon for girls to go to shop class. And I would have learned a lot of skills that I feel like I would know today and that I need to know now. There's a lot of stuff, we just bought a house, and there's so many things that we need to do. And I need to use a saw, and I need to learn how to, do things with tools and with wood and create things. And I'm just really happy that you were able to break out of the mold and say, hey, I'm a boy, but I'm doing this, and I'm going to use a sewing machine.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I think it's really important to identify those cultural things. And to me, it's almost more exciting to test those limits. Like if I always think about florists, when Valentine's Day is coming around, most men are buying flowers for their companion.
Right.
But most men don't know where to buy flowers. And so if there was a guy that was selling flowers, I'm sure all the guys would buy from that guy.
Right.
But usually a man would be afraid to have a flower shop, And so to me, these are things that cultural confusion, I think, needs to be broken in a lot of ways. And I enjoy the people that do step up and break those. I like being that person.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you are. And I love that.
Yeah. For me, it was really cool when you first started doing this because I was in the same boat as you. You know, we were both in the rocker lifestyle and all wanted to look cool and, you know, have the tight pants. And we were forced to shop in the ladies section. And that when you first start doing it can be a little embarrassing. You know, you go up to the person and be like, can I take these to a dressing room? And they look at you kind of weird. And you're like, no, I just like my jeans tight. And they don't make it like this for guys. And then the first time I ever saw a pair of your pants, a mutual friend of ours, Chris Hearn, had we were hanging out and he's like, hey, you like my pants? I was like, yeah, those are cool. Where'd you get them? Buckle? He's like, no. He's like, guess where else? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, these are Billiams. I was like, no way. And so it was really cool, you know, watching that come to life and watching those early pairs of jeans. And they were much, you know, your whole setup back then was much simpler and much more homegrown. And now looking at the beast that it has become is crazy. If you know, we can see in the background of your shop here, and I've been in it many times, but there's just machines everywhere and your whole setup is working together so seamlessly, no pun intended. And it's you're now printing custom t-shirts and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And so like your company has had many, many different paths over the years. So how has it been coming up with all these new creative ideas? Because I know you slave over that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I think this is an important thing for any creative. I like to say that you should scratch every itch until it stops itching. And I think that when you're forming an idea, like for me, when I started making custom jeans to begin with, so many people were calling me and asking me to make them jeans that I was following the demand. And after a while, I was like, am I just doing what other people want, or am I doing what I want? And so I started trying things that I was curious about and not letting the demand tell me where I was going to go. I was going to force into new things. And after trying certain things that I was curious about, the jeans just kept, nothing I did ever held a candle to the jeans. It just it kept pushing. And so after a while, I just realized that itch was something that was probably going to be the thing that, you know, I've tested other things, and it's not like it's like I have a hit and I have to play the hit all the time. I think when you are creating something, you want to try everything you possibly can. You know, you want to follow your passions, and you might be a person that has a bunch of passions, and maybe one is what you actually want to do, and the other is calling your attention more. And so I think you should try everything until you find that one thing that is, you know, is it. And so that I've made t-shirts from scratch. I've made sweatshirts, kids' clothes, leggings, printed shirts, masks. Oh my God, so many masks. And
aprons.
Aprons. Yeah, I've done a lot of aprons. So I kind of chased a lot of things. But ultimately, yeah, blue jeans is my thing. Yeah.
It's like the staple. Yeah.
And you've done a lot of collaborations with other companies too. What was the one company in England that you were working with?
Yeah, they're called Oliver Sweeney, and they are a huge shoe company in London. And I did a collaboration with them where I was flying over to London every year doing pop-ups in their stores. And I've spent about 6 weeks in the UK in total of all those pop-ups. And so it was just really fun. The third time I was going over, it just felt like I was commuting to work. And it was a strange feeling because, like, how am I supposed to communicate to my other friends what it feels like to like be consistently building an audience in another country? It was like,
right.
It was really weird. It was really cool. It still feels cool. So, yeah, I mean, we just got an order from London today. So it's, you know, it's still moving. So those are cool moments.
Okay, awesome. Now, I know you have a creative team, and clearly you're branching out into all over the world. What do you have a vision yourself when you create say a new pair of jeans or a new item or a new t-shirt? Is that more your vision, or do you have a creative team in place that kind of backs you up and gives you ideas?
It's a mixture of both.
Okay.
I have a few friends that are in the music industry at a pretty high level and talk about how, or even in the film industry at a higher level, you know, you have certain roles that people are working within. And so for me, I find that either my team is an extension of me, or they are hired specifically to fill a gap within the team that maybe I can't meet. So it's definitely a group effort. And then also I kind of have to make final decisions or sometimes steer the ship. Right. But I'd say it's both.
Right. That's awesome. And, you know, that's the best thing that you can do in any vision. Even if it's your vision, you have to have a creative team in place that is on board and that backs up your vision and that runs it just like you would run it and like it's their business as well. And I love that you give your creative team the opportunity to grow their brand and their vision as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had so many people come through here and everyone, I like to call it the Billiam University. It's like, eventually you're going to go do something else, but the things you will see and experience from this room are just like the emails that we'll get, or like, you know, if we go fit a really cool band or a famous person, it's just like bring the whole team into that room. So we're like, oh my God, this is so cool. You know, eventually when they go do their own thing, they know what that feels like and they're more equipped to go, you know, be great in their own thing. So it's fun sharing those moments.
Oh yeah. And you're helping them create their resume as well.
Yeah. Well, it's also really lonely to keep those moments by yourself, you know, like you want, it's like going on vacation alone. Like that's cool. But,
yeah.
You know, you really want to share it with people that you love. So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that with the music thing. Bill and I, the biggest stage that I've ever played, we shared that experience together. Thompson Bowling Arena, 24,000 people were there. And it was just a wild experience. And it would have been so much less cool had I not had my buddies right there beside me, rocking out along with me. And so I totally understand what you mean about that lonely feeling. So I'm going to ask you, and I know it's not the coolest thing, but go ahead and name drop a couple people that you've put into your jeans, and some very recent that are pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah. So I'll say that one of my main things is that I am a musician, of course, and I'm also a fashion designer. So I like to be in the mix of the music industry and have a lot of friends that have gone really, really far. So Paramore was a really cool moment. I become good friends with the guys in Third Eye Blind. That was really fun. Third Eye Blind was a fun moment because I had seen them. After I met them, I would go and watch them play. And I've seen them like 5 or 6 times now. And it was just really weird hearing like, you know, wish you would step back from that. Like hearing that like over and over and watching them in my jeans. I was like, this is so cool. The most recent one we just did was a band called the band Camino, which are an awesome band. A bunch of Christian bands. My favorite childhood band was a band called Reliant K, and those guys have become good friends. Toby Mack from DC Talk. He's the homie. We text all the time. He's an awesome guy. So yeah, a lot of it's just fun. You know, it's like you see these names play places. You're like, oh wow, I know that person now. So yeah,
it's freaking awesome. But more awesome than that is that you don't just do this for yourself. When you first started all of this, you were anti-sex trafficking, and we're doing a lot of work with that. Recently with COVID-19 efforts, you did a ton of stuff. So talk a little bit about your charity work and what you've been able to give back to the community with what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's that's also something that I think is really important to share. When you have a skill set, I think you have a responsibility to your community. And, you know, specifically in the mask scenario, people couldn't find masks during that 2-week shutdown. Like you couldn't get disposable masks on Amazon even, you know, the world was truly shut down. And so I gave a bunch to a organization called Upstate Pride that helps people who are immunocompromised or HIV positive in our town. And we gave, I think, 600 to them. We outfitted the entire hospital downtown, all the staff there. Then we did an organization called, oh man, it's been so long, Hispanic Alliance, which helped people that were undocumented in town that didn't have health care. Because I was like, that's got to be the scariest thing, especially when COVID first came out. It was kind of like, if you get it, you die. So right. Like, oh my God. And then we gave, my favorite part of it was we outfitted the entire staff of the prison in town. And to me, there was something about the prisoners being stuck in prison while a global pandemic was going around and not being able to fend for themselves that I wanted to take care of them. And so those were like the four. And then, for the first 8 years, I gave 20% of my profit to fight human trafficking in Atlanta. And that ended up being very expensive and was something that I very much love doing. But I realized that a lot of times maybe more in the Christian world, you have missionaries that were so focused on the cause that they had bad family lives and their kids were starving, but they were trying to take care of other people. Mm-hmm. So there was a part of me that said, I won't be that dad, and I'm going to make sure that I take care of my team first before I start taking care of others. So we did that for 8 years. And then I basically restructured the business to pay my people more and figure out how to make Billiam a more sustainable thing for employment.
Yeah, that makes total sense, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to give back more. And in order to do that, you need to build your team a little bit larger, a little bit bigger in order to go big and give big. So that's a very smart thing to do, actually.
Yeah. And I've never used any investment, debt, credit cards from the beginning of this business. This has been cash from day one. Mm-hmm. And that's my favorite part about it, is that it's taken me a long time to get these tools and to build this brand, but I've built it in a way that is, to me, very methodical. It's it's got a good plan to it. And so using cash wisely was very important because I didn't have any more than what I had.
Right. And I actually know exactly where you're coming from. My comic book series, Deadly Crimson, I've done the exact same thing, where everything that I've put into myself, and I have sold the books, and all the money that has come in from books have gone right back into products and reinvesting and investing over again. So it takes a lot of time in order to do it that way, versus getting an investor or, getting an angel investor, someone that's from the outside. But when you do it this way, it's much more rewarding because, you grow it the way that you see fit. You can also, like I said, you can give back whenever you're ready to. You can build it to however you want to build it in the future. And it's very inspirational that you did it that way versus going out and get an investor, which I'm sure you could have done.
Sometimes I wish I would have done it, but yeah. But agreed. Yeah.
It's definitely the longer of the two paths to go that way. And you started in your parents' basement doing this. How long did it take you to actually go full time, just making jeans and clothes and stuff like that? Where you weren't having to do another side hustle?
Yeah, it took me 6 years before I didn't have a side hustle, maybe 7, but I didn't even pay myself through Billiam. In fact, it was probably 4 years ago before I paid myself the lowest of anyone here, even when I paid myself. And I look forward to having, nice things in the future, the rewards of working very hard. But at the same time, it doesn't bother me that I don't have a really nice car or a very nice place to live right now. Those aren't things I place value in, because I know that this vehicle is going to take me to those places eventually.
Yes, exactly. Now, how did you create your marketing strategy for Billiam? I know you started small and then you worked your way up. Is this something that you've had to learn along the way, or did you go to classes? How did you learn your marketing strategy?
So I studied marketing in college.
Okay, cool. Me too.
I think that that helped. I mean, that definitely did help. And maybe I don't give it as much credit as I should, but I think being around other entrepreneurs and watching the way they were positioning themselves was really important. But it's been very, very personal. For a while, I did a show called Live at 5, which was a 5 p.m. Instagram live video. And every day we would go live at 5. And
Nice.
I think I did that for 6 months, every single workday.
Wow.
And so doing that, I mean, it built a pretty big audience. I mean, we're not huge in like the scale of what, you know, some brands have online, but I do feel like, you know, like we reach a lot of people with our social, in the sense that the people that are in this area, I feel like most people know who we are in this town.
Mhm.
And in this town, there's a lot of people that wear jeans, you know, and so it works out. It
All
works out
over,
well.
actually. So if you're looking
It
for a
turns
new
out
pair of
everyone.
jeans, reach
Right.
out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you've also gotten a lot of haters over the years.
Oh
and-
yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's your favorite hater stories?
Well, I mean, when I did, yeah, I mean, I've actually had maybe 4 times where I feel like I've really stepped on some stuff. And most of those times are where I came up with something that made a lot of money. And there is a trade-off to money quickly, and that is scrutiny. It's like being a politician. It's like you want a stage, but you're going to get scrutiny for that stage.
Right.
So you kind of have to be careful what you wish for a little bit. But a lot of those moments, I think, were just, they happen to align with things that were more political at the time. And sometimes I enjoy crossing into that threshold a little bit. That's a little bit who I am. I'm a sarcastic. I try to be funny. I think that having humor part of a brand is really important.
Mhm.
You know, it's
Okay,
like,
so wait. Speaking on that, speaking on the humor, because we've been watching your latest marketing campaign, and did you really catch your parents in your dressing room? That is the question.
well, I actually asked my parents to go into my dress. For those that don't know, I've got a t-shirt printer where I can print anything on t-shirts. And so I did a little campaign that said, please do not have sex in our dressing room. And I think that's what it said.
Something along those lines.
Please stop.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Yeah. And so I think for me, it's those very cheeky things that are, they get people wondering. It's like, is this real or is this not, kind of thing. I love that line. So no, my parents didn't, but they were good sports. They were really
We were joking. Jesse and I were joking, and we were like, "Yeah, I'm sure he just told his parents to go in the dressing room and peek out, and didn't even say anything about what they were doing." And I'm sure they were a good sport and just did it.
My parents, they saw it on Facebook, and my mom knows, obviously she knows me well enough to know that I do these things all the time. So she was like, Bill, oh my God. So they played along, and it was so funny. So yeah.
That's great. And that's a great marketing strategy. And I think that humor needs to be brought up more in marketing. I know when we were watching, say, for example, the Super Bowl ads, and the ads I liked the most were the really, really funny, kind of outrageous ads, and the very inspiring and motivational ads. Like those two really hit home for me. And that's what I definitely do in my marketing strategy as well.
Yeah, it is hard when you social media is a little bit of a challenge in the sense that you always feel like you need to feed it all the time.
Yeah.
And if you don't plan how you're going to feed it and come up with actual, like, for this month, we're going to promote humor, or for this month on Father's Day, we're going to be talking all about fathers for 2 weeks up till Father's Day.
Yep.
And if you don't kind of follow either the holiday schedule or your own form of narrative, then you certainly can, kind of go off the rails a little bit. But in the interim, I like to use humor as ways to build the bridges to the next kind of promotional point.
Right. Now, do you have a social media team in place, or do you do all the social media?
Yeah, that's something that for me, one of the things I've done is that I consider Billiam a sleeping giant. We have a huge amount of capacity, probably we could make around 500 pants in an 8-hour shift if we wanted to.
Nice.
And the math on that is a very large, I don't know what the math would be, but it's like a $50 million business a year or something like that. And the challenge with being able to make that much is being able to sell that much.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I have done is basically not promoted while we learn how to build our capacity. And now that our capacity is getting to the point where we can make that many pants, now we're going to start formally marketing. But
Okay.
I needed time to learn how to do this very confusing, challenging business from a manufacturing standpoint before I could start actually building the brand standpoint. And, if you follow me online, you hear that I keep hinting at like this thing that's coming. And essentially what that is the first time we're ever going to really scale and push the marketing of the business.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and that's really smart because you have to learn what you're doing first and realize how you can scale it. And then you can tackle getting it out there. And that's very smart way to do it.
Yeah. It's like a lot of people want the attention, and there's a lot of people online that are just really popular. And what do they do? Like, who are you? Like,
right?
Why do you have so many followers? For me, that's not what I want. I don't want to be popular until I know my path. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm essentially writing a very long movie right now, and I'm not ready to release it, but it's starting to get to those closing scenes. So yeah.
Yeah. Makes total sense.
And it's funny because like people don't see the behind the scenes stuff. They just see this guy who sells expensive jeans, and you've got this cool shop downtown Greenville, and it's real hip. But they don't see the fact that, you sleep on the floor of your shop a lot of nights, especially during that COVID time. I remember I kept trying to like hang out with you because I was bored. It was COVID. And you're like, I'm sorry, man, I can't risk infecting these masks that I'm trying to get out to the world. And like they don't see that you literally put your heart and soul and life into what you're doing in order to make it successful.
Yeah, man. And there is a part of me that doesn't even feel like it's a choice. It feels like this is what I'm doing. I'm almost like I'm playing like I feel a responsibility, and that is that's something I feel lucky to have, because I don't know. I do know a handful of people that have that, but I know what I'm supposed to do, and I'm glad I have that thing.
Yeah. It makes total sense. Now, how has putting so much energy and effort into your company affected your relationships? Like Jesse said, he wasn't able to hang out with you. How has that affected not only your friendships, but your personal relationships, your family life?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think one of the isolating things that happens in life is just getting older. Like you find that people begin moving in different directions, and the friendships that you once had for even long periods of time are no longer relevant. And then sometimes, friendships just come back in your life out of nowhere, and you're like, wow, this is really interesting. So, and then I think the other thing too is that when you are focused on something for a very long stretch of time, the amount of other people that have been focused on one thing for that long of a time becomes a very small group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that I need to speak with people and have relationships with people that understand the same level of stress or the pressure of having a brand that's growing. So I think my friendships have changed in a lot of ways, where maybe they are more phone call, text message, more remote friendships with people in other cities. But I mean, I think that I do spend a lot of time just working and giving my personal time as well to my business. But as I was saying earlier, it does feel like a delayed gratification. I think I'll have those those things one day when I iron out some of the business here.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's almost like the highs for me are getting higher and the lows are getting lower. So it's like,
It's like trying to find that balance.
That's right. Yes. I would say sorry, what were you gonna say, Jesse?
Oh, go. You can finish. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, overall, I think it's just getting more complicated to figure that whole thing out. But I have a great group of friends, a couple of group texts that I keep going on, and I see my family all the time, and that's pretty much all I need, I think, right now.
And I was going to say, we're kind of in the same boat. We have a lot of things going on constantly all the time. And this is our office space. So we are literally, in our office space constantly growing everything that we're trying to do. And there's a lot of late nights where we're just up till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And what I've found is that friends that just want to hang out, we typically, and we're really sorry about this, we don't mean to, but we typically don't do as many hangouts anymore. It's okay, we can get together and work on something creatively. You are, and work on it, and then we can hang out and have dinner afterwards or something like that. But typically that's what I have found with a lot of our relationships. Just curious if you find yourself in that same boat.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I the way that I like to describe it is, usually people have varying levels of ambition. And I think for me, what becomes very, exciting is to communicate with other people that have that sense of ambition. And so I don't really just want to go to the bar and just stay out late, because I know that I have to do a bunch of stuff or think about a bunch of stuff that night.
Yeah.
And just kind of draining it or like trying to cover up the stress with something else is not what I'm interested in. I'm staying in. So the people that I like to hang out with usually feel the same way about going out to a bar. That's not it. So, and I go out to bars. I love hanging out with people, but that becomes a more seldom thing. Or if a friend comes in town, then it's like, okay, absolutely, that's great. Let's do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're kind of doing the same stuff where we are trying to only surround ourselves with people that are pushing us forward. And if your energy isn't helping our energy to grow, then we just don't have time for that in our lives right now. And we hate it because there's a lot of sweet people that are good hangs, they just, you can get together with them and have a fun night, and that's it. But they're not the kind of people that are going to propel you forward in life. They're not the kind of people that are going to encourage you. They're not going to be the people that are in your corner when you need them to be. And unfortunately, in this season, we can't waste the precious moments that we have on relationships that aren't driving our future.
Yes, that is a sacrifice that I think is worth making.
Yeah.
It's like, how much are you willing? I think one of the things is like, I'm willing to sacrifice a lot. Like, I would sell all of my possessions and have nothing if I needed to do it for this business. I would do it all, And so,
because it's your baby. It's something that you are growing. It's something that you're proud of, and it's something that is your legacy. And you have to grow your legacy.
Yeah, and if a friend, I don't know, if that's just not, if that doesn't feel reciprocal or something like that, that is something that's easy to sacrifice compared to what I would be willing to sacrifice.
Right.
So a lot of old friends. Bye-bye.
Is there anything that you're doing in your life to help keep yourself grounded through all this? Are you practicing any kind of meditation or like self-reflection in your time?
Well, the biggest thing that I have learned recently is putting myself on a bit of a structure, or adding structure to my life, in the sense that I have an alarm clock at 8 o'clock. So I wake up every day at 8. I've got an alarm clock at 9:45 where I leave for work. I get in at 10. We do one specific task from 10 to 12, an alarm clock at 12. So then I go from lunch to 12 to 1. From 1 to 3, I focus on one thing, and from 3 to 5, I focus on something else.
Yep.
So my day from time waking up till 5 o'clock is measured, and I know how much output I can put out every day. So then I can plan based on how many things I can do. So that structure has brought a lot of freedom to me. And I think that, when I take a shower, I sit down in the shower, just in a little, like, probably fetal position. I'm probably so stressed that I'm, but I sit down in the shower, and that does turn into a form of meditation for me, because I'm just kind of closing my eyes, thinking, focusing, clearing my mind. And I do that every day. And then I like to end the night with, I'll make tea before I go to bed, and I'll just sit there and just drink some tea and just kind of think.
Yep.
But yeah, those things are really great. I have at times had a therapist where I go and meet once a month with a therapist and kind of do talk therapy. During COVID, I feel like that got a little confusing with doing things remote and all that. So I haven't started back up with that, but that's something that I would like to tap back into. And then another thing is I buy season tickets to things. So I have something every month, an event that I know is on the schedule. So I have something to look forward to in the next month. Whether that's like the minor league baseball team in town, tickets there. I have tickets to the Broadway venue in Greenville. So I have once a month tickets there. And then I like to go to a lot of concerts too, just kind of something once a week that enriches me. Basically.
Right. And can help grow your personal self as well as your work self, which we need to have a good balance of work and growth in our personal lives as well.
Yeah. Especially as creatives, if we're constantly putting out all of our energy, and we're not filling ourselves with things that inspire us or give us, those nice warm feelings that create the creativeness inside of us, then it's hard to continue to constantly pour out of ourselves. Melissa and I, last night, we had planned to do a bunch of work after our day jobs and, do our creative work, but we've just been so exhausted, and we ended up
moving.
Yeah. This last couple of weeks has been a nightmare for us getting stuff done. And so we ended up just sitting around watching Elon Musk interviews and being inspired for the evening instead, because you know what? You just need to be inspired sometimes. And that fueled us to get busy today. And we're going to do a lot of creative stuff later today. And it's you have to feed your soul. You have to. And if you don't, your creativity is going to die, and you got to keep that maintained.
Well, and I would also say too, that I think it's important to screw it all up, to put too much on your plate and just run that plane into the ground, because most of my best work comes after I have to face the music. It's like what I would do when I was extremely depressed is I put a calendar in my kitchen, like a desktop calendar. I went to Target and bought, I think it was like a Lily Pulitzer floral calendar in my kitchen. And I had a Sharpie on it, and I was at a level of depression where I had to measure if it was a good day or a bad day. And so if I had 4 bad days in a row, I knew that my drive within myself, I couldn't let myself go too long of a time before I had a good day. So I would just start with the basics of just have a good day today, buddy. Like just do that, And
pat yourself on the head. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Just, go to the mall or so, just like do something. And so I think that those times, though, of feeling so alone and so depressed really allowed me to understand what it was like to want acceptance and want friendship. So when I do open my stores, I understand how to be that friend, or I know how to relate to people that, man, like, I don't know what to wear anymore. I don't know who I am. Like, can you just dress me and give me an identity? Like, yes, I've been there. I can do this. Don't worry. Yeah.
That is so cool that you can say, hey, I can give you an identity. How cool is that? That when you see someone walking on the street and it's the jeans you created, designed, and you're like, hey, I am dressing you like that is part of my energy that is given to you. And that's really cool.
Yeah, especially when they look really good in the jeans. So you're
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
You're like,
I
"Ooh,
gotta
look at that butt."
That's right. I mean, I have helped a lot of butts, a lot of really good. Yeah,
All right. Well, mine's gonna be next.
that's right. Yeah. I'm gonna do Atlanta and I'm gonna do Charlotte in the future. Those are my next two locations.
Awesome.
So
Let me know. I
Sweet.
have a lot of people here in Atlanta, hometown.
yeah,
Now you've got a
Love
new
that.
line that you've just released, and you did a big thing for it. The whole 1970s look. You're rocking it yourself right now. What was your inspiration behind all that?
Excellent question. So in the in the craft world, when you're making a product, usually what happens is you start looking what everyone to your left is doing, what everyone to your right is doing, and you become obsessed with competing with those people.
Mhm.
So for a very long time, my brand was all about competing with people that were doing the same thing that I was doing. And during COVID, there were a lot of things in my life that was kind of hitting this reset. And it was a time for me to say, I don't want to pay attention to what everyone else is doing right now. I just want to do what I want to do. So I went back to my roots as a musician, and I started to think of, what were the coolest musicians? What were the coolest looking menswear, I think. And the guys from Woodstock, the Jimmy Page, the guys from Pink Floyd, these old photos of these rock stars from the 70s. That to me that's the golden era of musician clothing.
Right.
So I was like, well, it's going to take me a long time to grow my hair out and look like that person, but I'm going to start now. So, that was part of it, is I wanted to look like that character. And then the other aspect of it too was that, if you look at what was happening in the 70s, you have the same things socially, politically, environmentally. All of these conversations seem to be mirroring what was happening in the 70s.
Mhm.
And I think that our generation has never really, specifically in menswear, you've never had an ability to go to the mall and get a pair of flares for men. It's the same thing as skinnies for men. Back then, we had to go buy women's skinnies to wear clothes that we loved. So I think what's happening is that same thing, but now I'm going to be part of the solution. And if men want to wear flares, I'm going to be the thing that's going to start that trend. So
That's cool.
yeah, that kind of, it's like a full circle in a lot of different ways. But to me, it's my first real identity that I'm putting out that says, like, as a designer, here's my mark, here's my signature, this is who I am. And it's going to look different than everybody else.
Yeah. And you're supposed to. In life,
Yeah.
as creatives in life, we are creating. We're not following what everyone else is doing. We are creating. And I think a lot of people forget that. And they're like, well, that's not even in trend. That's, something that's so old. But no, like, you are turning something that is an older trend into a new trend and making it today and making it 2022.
Yeah, giving it that fresh life.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the other thing too with that is that flares, specifically for women, it's for everybody. It has to be dependent on your height. So if you're 6'4" and you wear a pair of flares that's built for somebody that's 5'4", it's not gonna look right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
women have always had this issue getting the knee at the right point, so the pant is proportionate on your body. And so flares are the hardest thing to make, not custom. You can't really stack these up and make 10,000 of these and hope it's going to fit everybody. It really is important to have different lengths and to do it custom. So for me, it's also a competitive advantage the way I've built my business, in that I can just school any big jean company right now making flares.
Yeah.
So that's
now do customers send in their measurements and you make custom jeans that way, or do they have to come in to your shop and get measured by professionals?
ultimately the plan will be you download an app that you can scan yourself at home.
Okay.
And then we can take those measurements in that way. That technology is coming out. It's kind of like when you're hearing Elon Musk talk about all the really fascinating things that you're doing with AI, and I'm hearing him talk about these robotic robots that you can program to use AI to do your tasks. And I was like, well, man, my factory could really be run by these robots.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's figuring out how to automate the process of getting people's measurements. But technology and developers are starting to move into that space. So it is a perfect time to be doing, I feel like, what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's great.
But yes, to answer your question, I either have to FaceTime with you, or you have to come into the store, or you have to mail me a pair of jeans you like, and then I can get the measurements that way.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. And your custom whole idea has been really cool, because you are able to literally make a pair of pants that somebody can think of out of their brain with anything that they want on it. I remember we were talking about this a while back. Like, if I wanted a random tiny pocket on the knee, you could do that. Like, we could sit down and come up with any crazy idea that I want for a pair of pants. And ultimately, by the end of the day, I will have that pair of pants.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's you don't get that anywhere else. You can't walk into the mall and just find a pair of jeans that's exactly what you're looking for, no matter what. But you can walk into Billiam and get that pair of jeans that day, just mind-blowingly awesome.
Well, and the challenge is that I have to price it high, or else I'd have the craziest people coming in, for $50 and asking me to do the hardest work, so
Right.
It's like, price becomes the thing that like allows you access to that level of creativity.
Right.
So we are always figuring out ways to either make that easier for people to understand, or, make it either more expensive or cheaper, whatever that is. But yeah, I mean, people have a ball when they come in. They really, you also have to remember that a lot of people just can't find jeans that fit them,
Yes.
so
amen.
right. Just doing the minimum, just giving you a pair of pants that fits, that's enough. And then when I've got a pair of pants right now where I'm doing, it's a normal pair of pants and it has another fabric on the butt. So she wanted a heart inlay on the butt. And so, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Why not?
Have a little peach.
And that was my own mother. No.
in your dressing room.
Linda,
in my dressing room. That's right. That's right.
All right. Awesome. Well, what are your future goals, and where do you see the company going? I know that you have the 1970 flares. Do you see that is your only vision, or is there other creative outlets that you see for the future? So
I'll tell you guys my big plan. So hopefully this can be timestamped.
We're breaking it here on Reimagine Success. This is the big plan for Billiam.
This is it. This really is the first time I'll share it. So the first thing was basically figuring out, after practicing for 13 years how to make jeans, it was figuring out, what does the Billiam jean look like? So I designed that jean, and no one's seen this yet, but I've designed this thing.
Okay.
I have hired my pattern maker to go ahead and turn that design into a scaled pattern in a very small sizes all the way to, plus sizes. So that pattern is about to come in. I have the most technical denim that I possibly could find. I searched everywhere for it. I have pallets of that fabric coming in this week.
Nice.
What do you mean by technical denim?
So it has like polyester and lycra, like the futuristic, it's like recyclable. They use recycled fibers to make the denim. But it's basically the future of denim. It's the highest technical fabrics you can get in denim.
Cool.
Okay. So does that mean that these fabrics will last a little bit longer than the jeans that we currently have? Okay, cool.
Absolutely. Yep. And then in 2 weeks, I am going to a trade show in Atlanta to demo machines as I'm like a sewing machine influencer for the largest sewing machine company in the world. So
Nice.
I will go down to this conference and kind of get their stamp of approval that says, hey, in the world of American manufacturing, Billiam Jeans is the top. So that'll be really cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That relationship that's everything. So I purchased a bunch of machines that I'm going to be demoing at that show, and I will take those machines home with me and put them into the line. So basically our pattern, our materials, and the machines to manufacture this whole new thing is going to culminate this month. And at the same time, the location that I'm at, it's a 60-acre park that has been being built for the last 2.5 years. That opens also this month too. So all of this is culminating at one time. And so basically having that system together, now I can start opening up other stores and expanding from here. So basically it's, I figured out how to
go big.
Yeah, exactly. And there, it gets way bigger and headier, but I feel like that's a pretty good, that's where we're heading right now. And that will be very, very scalable.
That's fantastic. I'm super proud of you, buddy, first of all. And I want to say that a lot of people, they don't understand boutique jeans. They look at your price tag and they're like, oh my God, $300, $400, $500 for a pair of pants. That's ridiculous. I would never pay that. But they would go and buy a tuxedo or a suit or a dress and pay unbelievable amounts of money. And there's a lot of people that don't understand that sometimes jeans are your tuxedo, depending on what line of work you're on. And if you're in the rock industry or music industry of any type, a good pair of jeans is the most important part of your outfit, because then you can just throw on a t-shirt with it or whatever, whatever your look is. But you got to have that piece that's going to just make a statement, and your jeans tend to make that statement. And so when people are out there looking for jeans and they're worried about the price, you have to remember that you're not just buying your normal pair of pants to wear around the house, which I'm sure yours are plenty comfortable and able to do that with as well. But you're also buying something that you can wear to any occasion that you need to. And so when thinking about that, what's been your main deterrence? Like, has it been a struggle for you? I know pricing is always the hardest part. Like, how do you justify in your head, okay, I know this is high for most people, but this is reasonably what this has to be? How's that process look like for you?
Yeah, well, I think that, like when you start cooking and you start realizing that it really is nice to have a nice knife, and then you're like, wow, okay, like, I should have a nice cutting board because I have a nice knife. And then, well, I should get nice, fresh ingredients, and maybe I should start learning, what other tools I could get, or, and you start really starting to learn this process. Clothing is very similar. There are people that don't place any value on that. And I think that social pressure in a lot of different ways keeps people not wanting to stand out, where people want to buy the thing that allows them to fit in the group, to be part of something. And so I usually make for the people that do stand out. I make for the people that have an appreciation to a certain level where they're ready to go to the highest they can go. So I think that, to me, the pricing is just a statement of, I want the people who want this level of service to take it seriously. And then I think that for other people, when they come through, I'm very fine with people not understanding why they are so expensive. I think that's one way of doing it, but I think the other thing is, I do want to get a low priced option together. And, I sell vintage jeans in the shop for $100. So if you want something really rare, something a little bit more affordable, we have that here. I have cheaper prices for jeans that you can just walk out with that I don't tailor. And then I have the kind of coup de grace, like the top of the line, you build it kind of thing. So having that level of pricing based on how much time it's going to take me to do it is something that I think is important. But yeah, for a long time, it's just hard. And I just couldn't say yes to everybody. It's like, listen, I know you want me to craft this crazy looking 30 different fabrics. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, no, so
You're like, you don't have enough money for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. And I've said yes to those a few times to the point where I know that I can't in good mental health say yes to those anymore.
Yeah.
And it is really funny because jeans or clothes, Jesse and I, when we moved, he really saw how many clothes and dresses and shoes and everything that I have, so much that my closet fell. And we had to redo my closet. But it's because I love looking like me everywhere I go. And I don't want to always look the same. I like looking different. And, I'm on a red carpet and I want to feel my best. I want to look my best. And I want clothes that fit however I feel that day, because how I feel today is not going to be how I feel tomorrow. And I love the fact that you customize your jeans. So then that way, if I am liking the jeans today, then maybe there's another pair that I will like tomorrow, and you have those different jeans that, hey, these are my go-to today. These are my go-to. I'm feeling this way today. So I love that.
Yeah. Well, I would say on top of that the way that I see life is that you are playing a character, and what character are you dressing like? And I think it's very important, not to look confused within that, to have some kind of consistency in how you're carrying yourself at every moment in life. And I think there's levels. If I wanted to be I've chosen to be a 70s character. So I will have a mustache, longer hair. I'm going to wear flares, boots every day. But there's ways that if I'm going to a wedding, I'm still going to be a 70s character. I'm not going to change and start wearing a Men's Warehouse suit to look, like a wedding guy. Like, I'm still going to be the 70s character. So how do I take that same character and dress it up? And so I think that a lot of people maybe don't hold such hardcore rules for themselves, but I think it's really fun when you start putting those rules and playing into it. I think that's I think an elevated way to live life.
I do a lot of acting. So I'm always these crazy different characters. I'll be a nurse one day. And then, the next day I'm in jail. And then the next day I'm dead on set. So, or a zombie, I'm always something different. And I love that. And it's like you're saying that you can be that way with clothes, which is great.
Yeah. Yep.
So one of our favorite parts of the podcast, and we've said a lot of things that I think could apply here, but we always like to celebrate your recent successes, big or small, the thing that stands out to you the most that's happening in your life right now. So what thing would you like to celebrate with us on this podcast right now that's just a success that you just want to say, you know what, I haven't really stopped to really celebrate this. So what would that one thing be for you?
That is a really good one. Okay, this is a very minor one, but in watching our stories the other day, there were a couple of famous actors that were watching our stories, and it was like the guys from Workaholics. So it was like Adam Devine and Blake. I don't remember Blake's last name, but I think just the idea of having those sneaky people sneaking in and watching stuff that, I know it's a minor thing, but it's okay, it's starting to work. I don't know what they're scheming, what their plan is, if I'm getting an email from your agent or something like that, but maybe that's not the best one to say, but that was a really we caught some attention, caught some eyes.
Yeah. I mean, we do the same thing when we're looking at our stories or looking who's listening or where they're listening at in the world. We always stop and celebrate. So like we said earlier, big and small, and that's no small task. Not anybody just has celebrities watching their stories. So it's a very great thing to celebrate.
Yes. Congratulations on that. That is huge.
I would say one thing is I did, and this is a downer and an upper at the same time, but I found out that I had skin cancer on my face and I got that removed. So it's not like a major, I went through chemo, I'm cancer free, but I don't have it anymore. So I'm going to celebrate that.
Yes.
That's the big thing that I'm really happy about.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, that could have been a lot worse. And it's great that it's great that you kicked it in the butt already.
Yep.
Kick the butt. Yep. That's it.
Just got to watch that pasty skin.
I know. It's like, Dad, why did
SPF
100? I know. I smelling like the beach all the time is, that's gonna be the worst part of life now.
Awesome. All right. So where can our listeners find a pair of jeans for themselves, your store? Where can they reach out to you on social media?
Yes. So Billiam Jeans, it's like William with a B.
Mhm.
If you just type that into Google, that'll pop up with either our website or our social medias. Our Instagram is our most communicative platform. That's where everything lives. Our website, we don't really it's always kind of that's not the place to look. Our Instagram is kind of our feed. So that's where I would check in. Every time we post something, there's either some kind of joke within there that you're not sure if it's serious or not. We will only give you good content, guaranteed, with our Instagram. So
it is quality content. Definitely keeps me entertained.
Yeah, good.
And one last question. What's one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's just getting into the designing clothing business, the world of fabric? What would you tell them as they're getting started?
Okay, well, I think the biggest thing is to it's always such a tough one, but I think anytime you're doing anything, just start young. Like that's like, if you can start young, start young. But if not, I mean, I think that have fun with it, and like don't try to be anything more than what you are. I think that maybe the best advice would be the Gavin DeGraw song that says, I'm not trying to be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately. I remember saying that in conversation. It was just like coming out of my mouth, and I was like, Gavin DeGraw. That's probably the best. I would just say, just literally, just as you're making things, get on YouTube and start watching things, see what other people are doing, but ultimately just make the thing that you want to make for yourself. And when you're doing it for yourself and people are starting to see that really is the best marketing. So
yeah.
Love
Perfectly said. I love it.
Well, Bill, this has been amazing. It's been so good catching up with you and getting to talk with you. And again, as a friend, I'm unbelievably proud of you. As a podcaster, I'm super excited that we got to have you on as our guest and talk to you about all this. And I can't even begin to say how much I hope just the absolute best for everything going forward with you.
Thank you. And you guys too. I want to take a picture real quick of us so I can post this. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. And you have inspired, I know you will inspire, and you have inspired so many people. So just a shout out to you for just being you and doing you and being who you are. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll catch up with you in the future. So take care of yourself.
Okay. We'll see you again soon.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Man, I'm just so impressed with everything that he's doing and all the things that he's got his hands in. And he's got such a great creative mind.
Yeah, I'm so ready to get a pair of jeans for myself because I want my butt to look good.
I got a pair of Billiams. I got like the super skinny ones, and then I gained a little bit of weight, and they don't quite fit me, so I need a new pair. But when they did fit me, woo, my butt looked delicious.
That is awesome. Well, today has been so great. And we just want to thank you guys so much for listening, supporting. Definitely keep reaching out to us with all of your successes. We love, love, love to hear from you.
Yes. And be sure to check out our Patreon. Lots of good stuff going over there. Lots of bonus content coming. Patreon.com/creativeglobal. We're going to be, posting all kinds of videos and stuff on there. So make sure you sign up for that and just stay involved with what we're doing.
Yep. And with that, this is a Creative Global Entertainment production. Did you get motivated? Do you feel inspired?
Don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses anymore, and don't forget to celebrate your successes every single day. Thank you for taking this journey with us.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Reimagine Success Pod. Email us at reimaginesuccesspod@gmail.com and let us know what your successes are. Head over to patreon.com/creativeglobal for bonus and behind-the-scenes content.
New episodes every Thursday at reimaginesuccesspod.com or your favorite podcast streaming platform.
So let's change our mindsets and reimagine success.